Fans, we are live with another edition of the Shooting from the Hip podcast, a special Monday edition live on the HannibalTV.com. I'm Jack Kilby, Executive Vice President of Great North Wrestling, and I'm joined today by, of course, who else?
The Inconvenience.
Well, we'll get into that too. My co-host, the man who is still the reigning, undefeated, hardcore road trip heavyweight champion, and we're going to talk all about that, and not only the past but the future. And I'm talking, of course, about the one, the only, the king of the streets, the Kingpin, Angel Medina.
Yo, what's going on?
Not much. Do we want to talk about? Well, I'll just fill the fans in that may not be aware. You were going to come up for a visit and some business last weekend, and we were going to do something that the fans were talking about. I see that other podcasts are following our lead and reviewing products, including Ric Flair's energy drink. But we were going to do a poutine review featuring yourself, because that's one of your favorite delicacies up here in Canada. But then despite the flight being booked and everything tickety-boo, you ran into some problems. Can you tell the fans about that?
Well, the thing that just threw me off is that, I got to the airport. I always get there early because I don't like to rush. So, my flight was at, if I recall, like 9 something. And I got there like around 7:30. Like I said, I like to get a cup of coffee. I like to find my gate. I like to sit down, plug my phone in. It's just easily convenient for me to do those things. So when I got to the counter, she was just like, I gave her my passport card, and she was checking me in, and she's telling me that the card is not valid for international flight, but I could cross the border driving. And the way it's worded on the card, it just says excluding Mexico, Canada, Puerto, like Puerto Rico, Bermuda. So I just figured like, if I get my passport card, because I'm not going to go to Japan, I'm not going to go anywhere special anytime soon. So basically they just said that I can't fly international, but I can go across land, across the border, which again doesn't make any sense, because I'm like, if you look at it like this, if you board a plane going to Canada, you're going to be more thorough with checking the bags, going through the metal detector, compared to going across the border in Canada and saying, do you have anything to declare? What's your purpose in Canada? Visiting family. Oh, okay. Do you have anything illegal in your bag? No. Okay. And you go through. There's no metal detectors. There's nothing out of the ordinary. So it just doesn't make sense for them to do those type of things. It just threw me off.
Well, all that notwithstanding, we will have that situation taken care of, and I'm going to go into more detail on this in a little bit, but I can confirm that you are booked to defend for the first time since the 26th of April, 2014, your hardcore road trip heavyweight championship on Great North Wrestling Schools Out Slam, the 29th of June in lovely Napanee, Ontario. We will be presenting an absolutely loaded card, highlighted by one of the big matches is this defense for you. And from an opponent that the Great North Wrestling Championship Committee has selected that will not disappoint. And we'll get into that in a little bit. But how do you feel about coming to Canada again to make history once again and maybe successfully defend your title?
Well, first of all, I'm getting my passport book instead of my card. So I'm doing that this week. I'm just waiting for some money to come in so I can pay the cost. And then there's not going to be no like hiccups in this business. Any hiccups in the business for me not to make the show, you know what I'm saying? So it's just something that's just, I'm pretty excited. I'm just pretty disappointed in regards to what happened. So now I'm just trying to rectify the situation so it won't happen again.
Do you happen to have any thoughts before I unveil your opponent and describe him to? He's a guy who's known to Great North Wrestling, but we'll get into that in the end. But do you have any thoughts about defending that title after such a long period of time?
Well, I mean, put it this way: in regards to this title defense, regardless who you put in front of me, it's just they're going to be somebody that's the number one contender. But the reason, but remember, they're number one contender, but I'm number one, you know, and no matter what happens, I know I'm just going to win this match regardless, because they could be great, but I'm a great fighter. You know what I mean? So the thing is, whoever you put in front of me, I mean, I'm not sleeping on them. I'm not saying they're not talented. I'm not saying that they I'm gonna beat them real simple and this is just gonna be a walk in the park. The thing is this is that no matter what you say, I have many years in this business and I outsmarted a lot of people in this business. So I learned a lot of tricks in this trade to, in this profession to outsmart these individuals, these youngsters, you know. Now, maybe if it's an old school guy, then I have something else to compete with the same type of logic and the same type of conniving skills. But I just have no worries, like I said, I mean, whoever you put in front of me is going to be a great defense. But at the end of the day, when you mess with the Kingpin, you mess with the Suntan Superman, when you mess with the man who knows it all, at the end of the day, it's just going to show that I'm going to raise my hand and defeat another worthy opponent that, is one of the top dogs in Canada.
Well, you can bet that will certainly be the case. But before we go any further, I think it's germane to give the fans who maybe aren't aware of the hardcore road trip phenomenon, which was billed as ECW in Canada, some of the history there, especially in terms of the first double show that was very successful. And coincidentally, I was the security chief for that show as well as in the following year, and really was the first time that I got involved in the wrestling business in any sort of capacity other than a fan. Here is the poster from the event. You can see Saturday, March the 2nd, 2013 in London, Ontario. And look at that lineup. Look at that lineup of absolute legends. Some made it, some didn't. We had, in addition to Pitbull, Gary Wolf, Stevie Richards, Raven, C.W. Anderson, yourself, Sandman, Jason Knight, Big Vito, Blue Meanie, and Axel Rotten, of course. Can you talk about how you first heard about this double show? They ran a show in the afternoon, in the evening, and it was a tournament to crown the first ever hardcore road trip heavyweight champion, with Banned in the USA in the afternoon and Born to be Wired, which featured a really bloody barbed wire match in the evening. But backing that all up, how did you first hear about the individual who was the promoter, who used the name Mark Livingston, that I understand was not his name, but regardless, this phenomenon?
Well, I mean, we talked about this before. I mean, I don't only knew Mark Livingston in regards to seeing him in Canada. I heard stories about him. I heard that he had a shady past in regards to another promotion that he ran that caused some issues. But he was trying to make that up because, I think he brought it up to me saying that he probably heard that I had some issues in regards to not paying the boys back in the days. But I'm just trying to rectify myself and try to establish a company in Canada that is solid. So I'm just trying to make amends in regards to what happened in the past. And again, I didn't know the guy, so I couldn't be like, oh well, I understand. I said, oh, okay, no problem, just pay me, and we're good to go. So I mean, like I said, my first impression, he just seemed like a very I say humble, but like a Gabe Sapolsky looking type of guy, just a regular Joe, but I just didn't have any experience in regards of his shenanigans, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Were you contacted directly through him, or I understand? Well, I know the booker for the both events, 4 events, but both years was Stephen DeAngelis. Did he reach out to you, or was it Livingston?
I think it was Steve DeAngelis that reached out to me, because Steve is more when I say close to the boys, he had more what's the word I'm looking for? relationship to reach out to these individuals and not have anybody like, who the fuck are you, question who you are. And so he reached out to me. It looks like he reached out to most of the boys. And again, that's just something that since he was connected with everybody, it was just easier for him to handle the bookings because he was the booker.
Was it presented to you that this was the design for this new promotion? First of all, they went heavily on this ECW in Canada thing, which of course, attracted all the longstanding fans, myself included, initially. But then, by the next year, they kind of backed off on that. But notwithstanding that, the plan, to my understanding, was to run a number of these huge super shows on a fairly regular basis, at least 4 times a year. How was that pitched to you at the start, or was it?
If I remember correctly, don't quote me on it. I just think Steve was just telling me that they were trying to start a new promotion, trying to start on the right foot, not go off of a bad experience in regards to what happened with ECW. They just wanted to start a company that was on the up and up, and also very no worries, and like I said, he just wanted something. Then there was no issue in regards to pay. There was no issue in regards to flight issue. You know what I'm saying? Like everything would be smooth. Like one of those companies, like, man, I love working here. There's no problems. There's no drama. He really, really wanted to make something work that the boys felt comfortable and felt at home and not have a headache to come to work.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. If you look at this poster, right away, you notice some folks didn't make it, including Sandman, Jason Knight, Blue Meanie, Steven Richards, Axel, CW. When you got to the venue, they obviously sold the place out. I think there was about 1,100 in the building, which is pretty impressive for an independent show. But when did you learn that there were a number of no-shows? And I understand Sabu was going to be a surprise, believe it or not.
Well, the thing is that, like I said, with Livingston's reputation, I mean, I spoke to CW Anderson. He was supposed to be on it. He was like, man, I just heard too much bad vibes about this guy. He screwed a lot of boys over. Just be careful. I'm not going, and stuff like that. And that was the issue. Hey, give me 1 minute, man. My dog's gonna knock over a table. So give me a second. I'm just gonna let out the room. It'll take a second.
Roger that. So what the fans that may not be aware of this particular card, we'll talk about Angel's involvement in it, but listen to some of these matches that actually did take place. You had Al Snow defeating your back, Christian York.
All right, I'm back, man. He was just gonna knock something down. I knew it was gonna be a big crash, so I just kicked him out the room. But anyway,
that's all good. That's all good. I was just getting into some of the matches, but please finish your thought about the no-shows.
Devon was concerned, because we were supposed to face off against each other. Devon was concerned about it. He just didn't want to come. He wanted his money up front. I just can't remember, like, if he, like, I think that Devon just said no, but I don't think the money was going to be given. I just can't remember. It's been so long ago, but he didn't come. Rhino was smart. He got his money up front when he got to the building. You see, and that's the sad part in regards to that. Like, it's hard to be, when promoters now, I mean, no, not hard if I don't know you, but it's just hard when you have friends and stuff and you want to keep that, rhythm going. Like, let's say you, for example, I'm just using you. And, and I go, man, I just need my money up front. Now I trust you, but of course, if somebody put a bad taste previously and you want to keep that record of like handing my money up front, because the next promoter, like, well, we didn't pay you up front. Why he's so special? Why can't you do that same courtesy for me? So it's just, I still don't ask for my money up front. It just depends on the promoter. But the funny thing is that at the time when we didn't get paid, I promised myself that from this point on, unless it's somebody I really, really know, I'm always going to ask my money up front or half of it, and stuff like that. That's the only thing that put a bad taste in my mouth in regards to the dealing with Livingston. But everybody said that Livingston was just somebody that they just didn't trust due to the fact that he did that before.
Mm-hmm. looking at some of the matches on the 2nd of March 2013, and as I said, the first shows were in the afternoon, and then in the evening. Looking at the morning, it was, or sorry, the afternoon show, it was heavy on the tournament, but they also featured Big Vito against Al Snow, Petey Williams against Christian York. Steiner was there, believe it or not.
I remember he was there.
Yeah, I actually met him there and had a chat with him a couple times. That was cool. But looking at the structure of the HRT heavyweight title tournament, you had Kid Cash besting Little Guido, Too Cold Scorpio defeating Colin Delaney, who I think was pretty fresh off WWE TV then in some capacity. And then you had a staple gun match between Balls Mahoney and a local hardcore guy by the name of Warhead. And then you defeated Gary Wolf. Can you talk about what you were told in terms of the tournament and your match against Pitbull Gary?
What I was told in regards about the tournament, like what did I feel about it?
Well, how it was presented to you in terms of coming out on top.
Well, I mean, the thing was, it was just explained to me at that point, in regards about the tournament, about how they came up with the idea and how it was structured. How I became on top is, they saw that I had the qualities to make it as a champion. Steve DeAngelis had the faith in me, in regards to holding the strap. Because again, they wanted something different. They wanted something that, that threw everybody off. Because if it was a Raven, if it was a Sabu, it was it kind of, you expect, them to win. But when it was the Too Cold Scorpio versus Kingpin Angel, they assumed that that's how it was good. The cards were going to be played until finally when I won. If you remembered everything, it was kind of quiet for that minute. Not a minute, but it was like, huh? Like it threw people off. And then people got behind me once the announcement made that I was the heavyweight champion. So and that was a good swerve, because again, when you change the dynamics of the game, because people, and people already predicted, oh man, yeah, this guy's gonna win, this guy's gonna win, this guy. It takes away the fucking excitement a little bit. But when they realized it was me, and it was just like, it was just more of a shock factor, just like when Undertaker lost against, I'm not comparing that, but like when Undertaker lost to Brock Lesnar, that dude in the audience was like, what the fuck? I didn't expect that, because he thought that Undertaker was going to maintain the streak. So it just kind of falls in that same type of category, that we just wanted to shock the fans a little bit.
Memories of that really, what I remember to be a hard-hitting match between in the afternoon there, between yourself and Gary Wolf.
Yeah, man, Gary Wolf, man, I love Gary Wolf. Like I said, regardless of every time we get in the ring and we face each other, we put our friendship aside and we go at it just like if we were, just regular opponents against somebody we didn't know. So, but again, I love wrestling Gary. He's fun. He doesn't hold back. He's still aggressive, still strong. It's just so. The guy still has the it factor in regards to his skill in wrestling and stuff. Like I say, he always wishes me a happy birthday. He always checks up on me once in a while to see how I'm doing. We're going to be in Philly together. He says, hey, I'll see you in Philly. So, so he gets very, like I said, he is a great guy. But once again, once we step through the ropes, it's business. And when it's business, friendship's off the table. We're there to do a job and perform and give the fans what they want, and it's a hardcore type match.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do remember that distinctly. It was a good one. Then moving into the
the other part is the best part about beating him all the time is that he always buys the beers. So it's just I never come out of pocket for liquor, so it always feels good when he's springing that tab.
There you go. Well, we'll have to see if history can repeat itself with
in Philly, right?
Yeah, respect to that again. Moving, I was going to ask you, do you remember anything about Ball's match with Warhead with that staple gun?
Isn't that the one where Warhead fell out hung off the balcony and fell through the table? Yeah, yes. I remember, but vaguely. It's been so long. But yeah, I remember that.
I was watching it like this.
Yeah, I remember him falling through the table. from that high, from that height. Um, I mean, Balls is always a performer. Yeah, he's crazy, but he always performs to the best of his abilities. I feel, I miss the guy to this day. He was always a good friend of mine. I never left my wallet around him, but he was he was a good guy, man. And Balls always makes matches awesome. I mean, he makes matches exciting for the fans. He gives the fans what they want, and it's just Balls Mahoney, man. He was a good dude. It was an awesome match.
Extremely. Even though Warhead was a local favorite from a promotion that Death Proof, that was it. I was trying to remember what the name of that promotion was, from Toronto.
Is it still around?
I don't think so. No, don't quote me on that, but I don't think so. The Warhead was supposed to be the favorite, but Balls, of course, was so over that the fans were giving him beer. And I remember talking to him backstage quite a bit, and I was impressed with what a nice guy he was.
Oh yeah, man. And like I said, the funny thing about Balls is that people think he's a freaking moron, which he wasn't. In the back of the fucking locker room, I remember he was reading fucking an autobiography. I don't know if it was John Adams, one of the presidents, or Benjamin Franklin. It was a big ass book, and he was just sitting in the corner reading. The guy was very knowledgeable. Same as Necro Butcher. The guy was very, very knowledgeable, very smart. It's just the perception of what he looked like. People thought he was a freaking moron, but the guy was freaking smart.
Yeah, and Balls was one hell of an amateur wrestler too, which some people know, some people don't. But
him, Bill Wiles, and Candido used to wrestle against each other in high school. If I remember correctly.
Missed for sure. Moving on to the evening of 2013, it had some good matches. Al Snow against Christian York, a guy, Christian York, who was in ECW, I think, when you were there too, towards the end of the company, and I don't think he's active anymore. Do you know what happened to him? Because he was a hell of a talent. Christian York.
Oh, Christian, yeah. I mean, I don't know what the hell he's doing. I mean, I really don't know. I mean, he has a family. I'm not saying he's not wrestling, but I really don't know. He probably has a regular job like every other wrestler. But a regular wrestler who has to get a job. I mean, I was going to look him up on Facebook. I mean, I haven't seen him in a minute. See if he is,
Yeah, he had the athletic ability. He had the look. He was, passable on the mic. He just seemed to disappear.
Well, I still have him on Facebook as a friend. He hasn't posted nothing since last post was 2018, June 29th.
Well, maybe we'll have to look into that. Another excellent match was the Pitbulls, this time consisting of Balls and Gary Wolf against the FBI, which was Big Vito and Little Guido. Steiner against Petey Williams. Talk about heat. Steiner in that match had the crowd extremely riled up, to say the least. It was actually about a 20-minute match, if memory serves me correct. And Petey Williams, of course, is a supreme athlete, so that was a good encounter. I'm trying to remember whether Raven did the run-in, did the DDT in the tournament final, which had you against Too Cold and Kid Cash, where you went over there. Did he come in and do the DDT in that one, or was it earlier?
The one where he DDT'd me?
Did he DDT you?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was I don't think he was there.
He was. Yeah, he absolutely.
I can't remember.
He came in with his luggage and dropped the luggage by ringside, ran in, did the DDT, and then grabbed his luggage and left.
Okay, now I'm remembering that. Yeah, I just remember there was one moment where it was my match, because I have a picture of it, and he came in and handcuffed me to the ropes, and supposedly Raven was supposed to come in with a motorcycle helmet, strike the pose, and then it was Vito that turned against me.
I think that was the next year. That may have been the next year, yeah. But Raven was definitely only at the 2013 shows.
Okay.
So you had a three-way elimination match. I remember Too Cold eliminated Kid Cash. Then it was you against Too Cold, and you beat him. How was that match put together? If you still remember it.
I mean, again, it was just Steve DeAngelis thinking it was something that was be a solid match, and I love Too Cold. I mean, he does wrestle strong style, so I mean that did clean my clock a couple times, but it didn't bother me because again, he's a good guy, he's a good friend. I like talking to him once in a while. But it was everything that was always put together. It was always DeAngelis, because again, he was the booker. He was the guy who thought about the matches, and all he did was like, "What do you think?" And I'm like, and I'm very easygoing. I'm like, "It's whatever you think. It's good for business. If you think it's a good angle and you think it's gonna draw, then I don't see a problem with it." So I never gave DeAngelis any negative issues in regards to like, "Oh, I don't want to wrestle Rhino. I don't want to wrestle Too Cold." It was just always like, "Yeah, whatever you want." Unless it was something that didn't make sense in regards to like, "Oh, this is what we're gonna do in the match." This is what we're gonna do in the match, and and then I'll be like, well, maybe we could do it like this. Maybe this makes more sense. But that's just me putting my opinion into it.
Well, I do remember the finish. Too Cold took your finisher, put you over strong, and the new champion, the inaugural champion, was crowned. And going back to what you said earlier, the crowd was hushed. Remember that? And then the pop was strong.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It was just something that was really exciting because again, it was more of a shock factor. It was not like, oh, what the fuck just happened? It was just like, holy shit, this just happened. And that's why people pop for it. It was just they expected it to go the route where it was just always normal, and they thought Too Cold was going to keep the title, get the title.
Mm-hmm. So that was a very financially successful show. Although I do remember being out front checking the head count, and Livingston was sitting there with Al Snow, and Livingston had his credit card out and was making a flight arrangement, which I thought was odd to be doing out in the foyer at intermission time, but went off well. Again, about over 1,000 sellout. The merch was good. There was a meet and greet beforehand where I think the boys all did well on the gimmicks, etc. So then, naturally, next year they announced Hardcore Road Trip 2, which was 2 cards again, starting on April 26, 2014. They had the first show, the Extreme Meltdown, and then a second evening show, DTA, Don't Trust Anyone. As you can see, Christian York was on the poster.
Yeah.
Interestingly, Juventud Guerrero was there, and Devon, and then yourself and Rhino. Before we talk about some of the highlights of that show, can you let the fans know about Devon? Because when we were doing a party the night before for the fans where they could come and meet some of the talent, Devon was supposed to be there, and I found out from Livingston that he wasn't coming night before.
Yeah, because again, I just think, I mean, me and Devon were talking during the week before the trip, so he was kind of gonna come, so because again, we were gonna hang out, we're gonna do this and that, and then at a certain point, I don't know if it was the Thursday or the Friday that he told me that he wasn't coming because he just didn't want to take any type of chance with this guy because of his reputation. Which again, I totally understand where Devon was coming from, because again, he's not going to waste his time, take time away from his family, to come all the way down there for her, for this guy to pull a high spot, So he just didn't want.
What I heard from Too Cold was that he was literally on the way to the airport and turned around. He asked Livingston for half his money or the full amount or whatever, didn't get it, and then pulled out.
Yeah, Devon, turned around. Which he has the right to, man. Because again, if a promoter, I mean, I don't even know how that shit worked back then. There was no Venmo and there was no there was no yeah, I can't remember. But anyway, yeah, he wanted his money at half up front. So but any promoter who's hesitant to give you the money up front half, then that throws up a red flag. So, for Devon, it drew up a red flag even more.
Well, and what in the promoting game, when you do a poster, you have to put on there card subject to change. I know in Great North Wrestling history, fortunately not during my tenure, but in the past, talents have been paid in full and just no showed for their own reasons, and that's why it says card subject to change. But my first red flag with Mr. Livingston was the fact that it was known well in advance that Devon was not going to be there. It wasn't an issue with the first year's shows where Sabu and I guess Sandman couldn't get in because of criminal record issues or whatnot. This was something.
How do they do that on the border? Like, do they ask you if you have a criminal record, or do they just? I mean, because I never had anybody ask me anything when I went across the border.
No, they run your name, and if there's a conviction, it pops up, and they determine admissibility basically on their own discretion. But with Devon, it was well known in advance that he was not going to be there, and a number of the fans that I spoke to at the event were disappointed that he didn't show, and it wasn't stated either on social media or otherwise that he wasn't going to be there, which was, if you look at him, he's very prominent on the poster with yourself and Rhino.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, it was going to be an awesome match with Devon, but again, I mean, he, because the funny thing, and I'm being honest here, is just for all the years I know Devon, and I know Devon for
a while,
since I was 20 years old. I'm 52 now. But it's funny, for all the years I know Devon, me and him has never ever wrestled against each other, even in practice. If I recall, even in practice, at school, because we're from Gleason's. So when I joke with Devon all the time, I said, me and you has never had a match. We never got in the ring together. We never worked against each other. And he goes, really? I said, yeah, dude. We never have stepped in the ring together, faced off each other. And I said, I know you're scared. I know there's, you're older than me. You lost a step. But, eventually we have to cross paths, and he just laughed and he just said, bro, I never thought about that. I never knew that. You just don't realize that. It's like, we never wrestled each other. And I said, yeah, we never. So when this came about, I was really, really excited, because again, I would have had so much fun with D. Same, it's just because we kind of have a similar wrestling style. So from the same school, but I think it would have been a blast. But then when that fell through, I was like, fuck, and then again, to this day, me and him has never got into the ring, and I use that against him. Like, I know you're worried.
He's ducking you, right?
Yeah, you're worried. You don't want to you don't want to taste a little, the Latin sting, but but I'm just ribbing him and stuff, But it would have been fun. I would have been. I think if I fit, I don't want to say if I finished my career, but if I would have to finish it, I would love to just have that match that I never had with Devon, just to finish it off, just to say, okay, I wrestled Devon. Okay, I'm done.
Is he retired fully, or is he like, what do you know what his status? I heard he was permanently retired, and I heard no, and et cetera, et cetera.
I think he picks and chooses matches and stuff. I don't think he's fully retired, but I think I saw some videos of him doing 3D on people in the ring. So I just think he's just like me, picking and chooses his matches, not really always wanting to go out, not wanting to take time away. I'm a homebody. I really hate leaving home sometimes. Mm-hmm. So I really kind of weigh out my options when it comes to like taking trips and leaving home. Like, I mean, coming to Canada, seeing you, which that fell through, and then coming again and going to Philly. Those are the things But if it's a local jabroni that's like, hey man, I'm running the show for the XWZ, and then 9 out of 10, I'm gonna be like, I don't know, man. Where is it? It's 2 hours away from here. How much? Yeah, who am I wrestling? You're wrestling the Texas, the Kansas Tornado. Let me look at my booking. Hold on. No, I'm booked on that day. I'm just picky. You know.
Sorry about your luck. Looking at the some of the standout matches in the afternoon show, Warhead again from Death Proof faced Necro Butcher. And you mentioned him earlier, but what a nice guy Necro Butcher is.
Yeah, he is. He
Really
is. I
enjoyed
mean,
talking to
what you see is not what you get. You know, I
him.
know he's in a wheelchair right now, and I think I can't remember everything else, but the hell of a guy, most nicest guy I ever met. You know, I mean, I would have loved to put the, wrestle him too. You know,
Mhm.
when you meet somebody that's really nice and you find somebody like, man, this guy is cool, man. I would love to have worked with him. You know, have fun with him and stuff like that. And he's younger than me. That's the fucked up part. Because
He
I
doesn't
mean,
look it, does he?
yeah, he looks pretty rough, man. I mean, he lived a hardcore lifestyle, you know. And when I found out, I think he's hold on, let me look it up. But I think he's like a year or younger than me. But yeah, it's just funny how you think somebody is older than you. He's 50. I'm 2 years older. His birthday is shit, doesn't even say. Yeah, he's fucking 50. He was born in 73, so he's about to be 51. So he's about to turn 51 sometime, you know. That's crazy, you know. But you know, you white people, you guys don't age very well. This melanin in my skin, you know,
It don't
keeps me
crack, right?
keep black don't crack, man, keeps me youthful. His birthday is July 13th, so he'll be 51 this year.
And you say he's in a wheelchair now. That's awesome.
I heard. I don't quote me on it. I just heard. You know, I'm gonna just look up some pictures and see if he is. But it could be just a temporary.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right here. Well, hold on, let me grab my camera.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Well,
so
hopefully he's rehabbing and gets his mobility back. But
yeah, man. Like I said, I hope he's back 100%. Great guy. Like I said, it just when you find somebody great, you want no ill will, no bad sickness. I mean, you want the boys to stay strong, healthy, regardless if they don't wrestle anymore. You know, still making those appearances that they still look great. So I mean, yeah, man. I hope that was just a temporary setback. Maybe like like his vertebrae, like his L5 or something was hurting and it was needed to be rested by being in a wheelchair. So I mean, I hope he's doing well, man. Good guy.
another really excellent match on the afternoon show was Christian York against Luke Hawx, who coincidentally at that time was the reigning heavyweight champion of Shane Douglas's Extreme Rising promotion. I remember talking to him after everything went down because the week before this show, Extreme Rising folded and allegedly owed him some money too. I know you had some conversation with Luke, who's gone on to some great work in movies. He was in that Heels series and does a lot of acting, I understand.
Like I said, Luke is an awesome dude. I'm so proud of him. I mean, he's a great friend. When I went to New Orleans, we went out to eat sushi together. He was willing, like my daughter's into like the acting buzz, and he was there to talk to her. Hey, not saying whatever you need I can help you with, but he was just giving her solid advice, telling her what to do, and that he didn't mind, giving her, some pointers to point her in the right direction whenever she needed it. So I mean, like I said, Luke is aces, man. But Luke, like I said, I knew Luke when he was like 14 years old, and I always treated him I always treat everybody with the utmost respect. And because you never know what they're gonna be. And he brought it up because I was like, damn, that's you, dude. He showed me the picture, and I'm like, fuck, dude. And like I said, he's always anything he touches, he just makes it happen with his hard work and his drive. He's a great businessman. He's a great motivational speaker. And like I said, I mean, out of everybody I know, he's just he's just a top guy. A guy who just people could look up to and just follow his model. I mean, like I said, he's a great. I can't say how much a great guy he is. Good dude.
And then of course,
now don't get me wrong. I mean, I've seen his movies. I mean, Maybe if you had the Kingpin in there just to give it a little bit more flavor, then he'll put Academy Award, Oscar-winning performances that we would have done. Then there's a possibility, but he's doing all right.
Well, who knows what the future holds for you in that respect? But then, in addition to some other really interesting matchups, you had your title defense where you faced the War Machine Rhino, and I distinctly remember that match because the finish was quite spectacular. I think you put him through a table.
It was a door. It was a
door.
door.
Yeah.
It was a door that was. I remember signing it. That's why I remember it was a door. Yeah, man. Again, Rhino. In this business, I never have enemies except Dutch Mantel. But the thing is that I mean, I always have a good relationship with everybody. I mean, yeah, there's maybe a bad blood once in a while, but like I said, Rhino Terry, he's a good dude. He's fun. When he sees me, we hug. Again, I felt bad that I had to put him through the door. But it was business. But again, he's a hell of a talent. A great champion when he was in ECW, somebody who again people could look up to, and I think he ran for mayor one time and or Senate,
in Michigan
Congress
somewhere
in Michigan. I mean, this guy was just driven, man, and when you see that in a person that's driven in the wrestling ring, driven in the political world, the guy is just an awesome individual.
Moving on to the evening, we had some pretty interesting matches. Gregory Irons and Zach Gowen were in tag team action. And this was the first time I ever saw Congo Kong, that monstrous individual. He was scared even in the locker room. I'm really surprised that aside from a run in TNA, he hasn't broken through somewhere.
Didn't he have some issues in regards to some same thing as Joey Ryan's in regards to these cancel culture things, if I remember?
Not that I heard for Congo, but I could be wrong.
I think he had something that happened that went sideways, but I mean, again, I could be wrong, man. There's just so much shit on my mind. Yeah, he disappeared, man. I mean, he had a good run in TNA, and then that's it. What was his full gimmick name?
Congo Kong.
Yeah.
He does work with Bin Hameen at Crossfire Wrestling around St. Catharines, but that's about all I've seen from him. You would think a guy with a look like that and a true monster would have a spot somewhere. Maybe he's not interested, but anyway, I was impressed with him. When I gave you some of my protein powder, I know he was asking me for some, and I certainly gave him some.
Yeah. Like I said, I met him. I mean, it was a short conversation, and nice guy. I mean, as far as first impression, he was pretty nice and humble, But I don't know him, so I can't really talk negative or positive. It just at the first time I met him, was just a very nice guy.
And another match that stood out in the evening was one of the folks that I'm sure you're very familiar with from the original ECW, Jazz. Defeated a talent by the name of Leah Von Dutch. I believe she was from Death Proof as well.
Yeah. Jazz, man. That's my girl, man. I got nothing but love for Jazz and Rodney Mack and stuff like that. They're running a promotion out in Texas. I did a show for them like a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago. Again, when I saw him, just like we haven't missed a step, and I met his kids and great bunch of. It's just a solid, good family, man. I have nothing but praise for Ronnie Mack and Jazz.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she didn't disappoint in that match.
She never disappoints. She never disappoints.
No. And then you had some more hardcore stuff. A guy that you probably maybe don't know, who was a standout up here in the independent scene, who passed away on the date of our last Great North Wrestling.
Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off. I was just looking on June 21st of 2020. Congo Kong issues response to speaking out story about him. So there was.
Wow.
Yeah, I'll send that to you, but so you can read it. But anyway, what you were saying?
Well, one of the standout independent talents up here in Ontario and across Canada, really, who did some work for Dark Side of the Ring. He passed away the day of our show in November, which hit the locker room pretty hard. Rob Rage was on this show. Do you remember him?
A little bit, vaguely.
Yeah, big guy. Put Steiner to shame, muscular wise. Yeah, big guy. Played Hawk and Hogan in the Dark Side of the Ring, so that gives you an idea.
Yeah.
How put together.
No. Now I remember. Yeah, he I think he did Hogan. He did. It's just weird, man. Because I joked with him. I got him on Facebook, and I joked with him. You know, nothing major. Just saying that I saw him on Dark Side of the Ring. And I think, what is it, based in Canada or whatever? That's why because he was always on it. Is it a based Canadian company that does all the filming there?
To my understanding, they have some funding out of the Canadian federal government for some reason. I don't really understand. Vice,
okay.
Canadian end of Vice is involved or was involved, maybe.
Oh yeah. That's all. It's just that every time he was always on it. So I was just wondering if it was some, But then when I heard he died, I'm like, I forgot what he died of. Cardiac arrest.
Right after working, he went back to the locker room and collapsed, according to people that were there. Yeah,
it's just so sad, man. Because then you just like, nobody's indestructible. You worry about yourself. You worry about your health. You worry about your everybody wants to look good on the outside, but when you don't take care of the insides, that's the ones that you don't notice. You can see bruising, you can see a torn pec, you can see, that you have a limp. When you have any heart issues, lung issues, circulatory issues, that's when that catches up with you. That's why I'm trying to like live a little bit of a healthier lifestyle. Yeah, don't get me wrong, I have my French fries and stuff, but I just don't go crazy,
And do lots of cardio.
Well, yeah, I mean, still my foot hurts, so I'm just doing like a walking cardio, like at 45 minutes to an hour. But
you don't have to go hard on the cardio. It's the duration that counts. And
absolutely,
yeah, I certainly am a believer in that as well. But then in the main event, you in a rematch defeated Too Cold Scorpio clean. Do you remember that match in particular, as opposed to the others that you've had with Charles?
No, that one I can't remember, man. I was so many matches. Yeah. So Paul Heyman got inducted in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, is that breaking news?
I'm about to read it, but anyway, it just popped up on my Facebook.
The man who sent you recently a birthday wish.
Oh yeah, man, he wished me a happy birthday. I love Paul. Like I said, even though I joke around about the money situation and stuff, he's the guy who gave me my opportunity, gave me my chance. Like I said, the non-payment thing is just more of a joke to just keep it more entertaining for years to come and stuff. But he always says hi to me. He always reaches out to me. Not reach out to me on Facebook. When I see him, he always comes straight to me. So I mean, at least he acknowledges me. Mm-hmm. Acknowledge me. And then
is he being inducted this year?
I'm just looking. It looks like he is.
Oh wow! Well,
Rob Feinstein. Paul. Yeah, it says it's the best news. Rob Feinstein posted it just 5 minutes ago.
Well, there you go, folks. Breaking news on Shooting from the Hip, and yeah, can't argue with that at all. I don't think. The interesting part about this match, and you won, is unbeknownst to basically everyone. Right before the match got in the ring, Mr. Livingston had what many recall as a worked heart attack, left the building, and his wife left with all the money. And we didn't find that out until after your match. Can you talk about how you found that out, and then that excellent promo that you cut that sort of made the best out of a bad situation? Because I know you took the heat off Steven, who was sitting there holding the bag because he was booking. The boys thought he was in on it, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, some people thought he was in on it, and Steve was kind of scared that he was going to get like not attacked, but just surrounded by individuals requesting this money. And we said, well, that's not going to happen. We're not going to let that happen. So we had his back. and he didn't do nothing wrong. I mean, he just booked the show. He was trying to take the put it this way. It's like the promoter wanted to hold on to the money, but he let Steve handle everything else. Don't worry about the gate. I'll make sure everybody gets paid. You know, that's the only thing that Steve didn't have control over. But he had control of the angles, who was wrestling who, what venues. You know, he was doing a lot of the footwork in regards to the company. So I consider him the guy who, you know, the actual boss of that company. So
He never got paid either.
yeah, and the thing is like I said, I
Nor
just
did
felt
I.
bad. I just felt bad because I knew I'm not saying this was Steve's chance to be, but it was just like something he could cultivate on his own to call it his own. And he really thought that he was going to put, not say Canada on the map. It's not like Canada's not on the map. He just wanted to give Canada something like almost like a Stampede Wrestling, you know, just like a world class wrestling at the Sportatorium. He wanted to give a company that was known and had a home in Canada was known for that company. You know what I mean? Like something like that. You know, because like I said, no offense to Canada, but like I said, I mean, there's no Stampede Wrestling. There's no yeah, there's some good companies, but there's not like holy. It's like not a TNA, not a something that's people know. You know, stands out. You know, Death Proof, yeah, if it's still around, but it's just Death Proof is just known by word of mouth and by local fans that post stuff, but it's not like how it was. You know what I mean? I don't know how to explain it, but you know what I'm saying.
Well, Steve had big plans, and if fans are interested, I did 2 interviews with him on the Hannibal TV. Search them up on this channel, and you can get more information. But he spoke at length about Hardcore Road Trip and how upset he was that the thing went down the way that it did, because allegedly Livingston had plans to run quarterly big shows, and he was talking about bringing in, building the promotion around you as the champ, and bringing in talents, including luchadors from basically. It strikes me as a reboot of Tri-State Wrestling Alliance under Joel Goodhart, who I recently did an extended interview with, that he would bring in attractions from various, I don't want to say territories, but locations,
Yeah.
and build a solid foundation with a local crew. And it had the potential, according to Steve, to be successful. But again, this is the wrestling business, and there's some, shady characters there. I do remember, though, the boys went looking for him in the hospital, and he was never there, and he was not at his residence. So to this day, I don't think anyone knows what happened to Mr. Livingston.
Yeah, man, Mr. Livingston, bro, he's just a person that just disappeared, man. He's a guy who, I mean, to this day, nobody knows whatever happened to him. He probably grew his hair out and, grew a mustache and stuff, so he won't be recognized. Or he may have left London and went to another company, another location.
He's in the witness protection program. I do remember seeing an independent show in London that went on for seemingly 5 hours, that had a lot of stars in it, about 99, 2000 and around there, that Livingston, using another name, was promoting. And then he popped up again after a similar circumstance there, allegedly in 2013. So maybe every 10 years he pops up again under a different name. We'll have to keep a lookout for him. But I did learn a lot from that experience. One being that the talent, and you can talk to the people that work for me under Great North Wrestling, the talent get paid night of.
Oh, yeah.
And all that's taken care of. There's no goofiness, no chicanery, and my budget is my budget. And, I don't book people that, I'm going to have to depend on external factors to pay. So, but talk a little bit about that promo that you cut, where all the fans seemed to coalesce around the wrestlers and help, because literally there were people, including yourself, stranded.
Well, I mean, like I said, it was just a situation where it was just, I mean, like I said, it's just so difficult in regards to, being kind of, it's not like you were like in Africa or you like some really foreign country and you're like, fuck. So it was not like I was just like, oh my God, what's gonna happen? All it was just concern. It was just like, man, well, oh shit, how the fuck am I gonna get to the airport? Fuck, that's all it was. It was just nothing traumatic. It was just concern because, like I said, do I call a cab? How's that work out here in Canada? I mean, it was just stuff that you were just trying to figure out, like how you were going to get yourself back to. It would have worked itself out, but it did that. Those are the concerns that everybody had. Should I just go straight to the airport? Just get a cab and go straight to the airport, and that, and that's it. But again, like I said, the fans helped us. The fans took care of us. And that's what was important, that they stepped to the plate and didn't leave us stranded. And that's why I appreciate the Canadian fans. That's why I like Canada, because, not the cold, but the fact is that everybody was not leaving that building, knowing that there's people that would needed help, and they wanted to make sure everybody was taken care of before they took care of themselves.
Mm-hmm. And I do remember some wrestlers' flights weren't booked in advance, so the fans kicked in with that. Some drove. I know some of the folks coming from the New York, New Jersey area, the fans drove them entirely. So it was a really positive outcome for, aside from people getting stiffed. It was a really positive outcome to see, the community of people come together to, not leave a permanent black eye on, Canadian wrestling for some of the people that were involved that were treated unfairly. Wanted to ask you, do you have the title with you right now?
Yep.
Can you show the fans?
All you had to do was ask. You just said if I had it.
There you go.
Oh my God. See how I'm struggling because it's so heavy?
It's 40 pounds of gold.
40 pounds of gold, brother. Look at that bad boy. Can't even see. Oh, it's up
there. You go. It's actually a really well designed belt. It obviously takes its inspiration from latter day ECW, but it's a really well designed belt that you are going to be defending on Saturday, June the 29th in Napanee, Ontario. Tickets are available now at ticketweb.ca, and I'm here to announce on behalf of the Great North Wrestling Executive Committee and the Championship Committee that your opponent will be this man, 350-pound Big Daddy D. Roy, a man who competed most recently for Great North Wrestling in Renfrew, Ontario in November 2023, was victorious. And it's funny, we were talking about Congo Kong earlier. This man is a giant, but not only a giant, he is quite agile for a big man, strong as hell. 350 pounds reminds me of Bam Bam Bigelow. So I think you're going to have your work cut out for you, Angel.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, he seems like a very big man. Big Daddy Oreo is somebody, that I could go after, like I said. Put it this way, man. Look, who's he beat? Who's he? I mean, but he hasn't beat me, man. That's the key factor. That's the key factor, bro, because everybody else just is right behind me. So the thing is that, I'm not letting it slip by. I'm because he's one of the top talents, like I told you in the beginning of this interview, is that he is probably one of the top talents in Canada. He's probably powerful. He's probably agile. He's probably youthful, but he's not as smart as me. He's not as pretty as me. He's not as vibrant as me. So I beat the best. I fought the best. I retired more men than Social Security. I'm just telling you that this is the situation where, Big Daddy Oreo is just going to just understand that he is just one step below the Kingpin, man. And once I dunk him in a big glass of milk and finish him off, he's not going to know what hit him. Mr. Big Stuff, Mr. Big Stuff.
I will say this. I would not take him. I would not take him lightly. And
I won't. He's 350 pounds. He ain't lightly.
Well, he is a very capable competitor, and I think it's fitting that the historic first title defense of the Hardcore Road Trip title in over 10 years will be with such a qualified competitor. I've been speaking to him. I know he's very pumped. And just as a side note, say from your perspective, the impossible happens and you end up dropping the belt. Are you going to be able to live with yourself that you've had that belt so long? It's almost like a member of your family and it's gone.
Oh man, it's even hard to fathom if I'm gonna lose that title, which it will never happen. So it's hard for me to even let it marinate in my head, you know. So I mean, put it this way: after it's all said and done, you know, no hard feelings. Great athlete, great opponent, you know. But as a consolation prize, he is more than happy to carry my bags to the airport, and that's the only title that he is ever gonna, is just to carry the Kingpin's bag, you know, and buy me a sandwich or something. But again. So awesome poutine, you know what I'm saying? But like I said, I mean, he looks great. He looks phenomenal. He's probably the top talent in Canada. But again, that's all it's. I mean, he has to beat me, so it doesn't matter. I mean, I'm just excited just to come down there and just put some boots to asses, if you may say.
Well, fans, that is the co-main event of the Napanee Schools Out Slam. The main event I've already announced will be the rematch between the Canadian champion, my man, Magnum McLaren of the Big Money Players, and that dirty, rotten rule breaker by the name of Rene Dupree of WWE fame, who last time gave me a concussion. And as I keep saying, he has got his work cut out for him on June the 29th. There's lots of surprises. People don't realize, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. And that's not going to happen. So in addition to those two huge matches, we will be announcing many more. And I am pleased to announce that I am right within days of securing the services of a bona fide WWE legend to appear at the card and do meet and greets, perhaps a Q&A. I'll be looking to announce that in very short order. And I would be remiss if I did not mention that WWE legend and standout on the podcast scene, Mr. Mario Mancini, will be having his final match ever, coming out of retirement just for this event at the Napanee Schools Out Slam.
So he's wrestling?
Yes, he is.
Is it an oxygen tank on a pole match or whatever, you know?
It will only be days after his 58th birthday, and I can tell you this: he is focused, he is excited, and will be bringing with him other talent from the school that he is a co-owner and a trainer at, the Paradise Alley Pro Wrestling School. So this is going to be, put it this way, Napanee, Ontario is starved for quality wrestling, and Belleville and the Kingston area for quality pro wrestling. And this show will deliver. It will not disappoint. Tickets on sale at ticketweb.ca. Keep focused on the Hannibal TV if you haven't subscribed, and you will keep up to date with all the huge announcements. But right now, we announced the co-main event, making history, the Kingpin against Big Daddy D-Roy for that beautiful hardcore road trip.
Daddy Oreo. Ooh.
There you go. There you go.
Dunk 'em.
Well, again, that remains to be seen. I'm personally looking forward to that match. But Kingpin, before we finalize today's show, a little history lesson for those that may not be familiar with the debacle known as the hardcore road trip, but not an entire debacle, because I met yourself and also maintained a interest in the business side of wrestling that continues to this day. So even though I didn't get paid either, it was a positive experience. What are your final thoughts for today, sir?
Big Daddy Oreo. Chocolatey. Just big old Oreo cookies. You know, maybe I'll bring them a packet. Do you got Oreos in Canada?
Yeah, we have the double stuffed. I don't know if we have some of the flavors, but
Mr. Double Stuff, Big Daddy Oreo. That's my final thoughts.
Well, I wish you well. I know you're.
We'll split them in half. Just
Wow.
Frost.
I know you're training hard. You come with all that credibility and all that hardcore knowledge and skill. We're going to see how this plays out. And of course, on future episodes of this podcast, we'll keep tabs on your training process. But until next time, fans, thank you for tuning in to this edition of Shooting from the Hip. For the Kingpin, I'm Jack Kilby. See you next time.
Thank you for watching the Hannibal TV. Please help me out and like this video, then click the subscribe and